Alabama has done it again. What's going on, guys? This is the RPO podcast, your favorite college football podcast. I'm your humble host. I'm your humble host, Jerome Jones. I got my man Ray Roberts in the building. How you doing today, Ray?
I'm good, Jerome. How are you?
I am okay because I didn't care for whoever won that game, and the game was kind of boring because it's such a blowout. But we're gonna talk about that. So, um, let's get right into it. It was Alabama versus Ohio State, the best two teams in the college football ranks of 2020. Went square head to head. The game has started. It was close for a smidget, and Alabama just went crazy. So we're gonna talk about the entire game. So guys, if you first coming in here, please make sure you check us out on our YouTube channel and subscribe to that. Like that, please do that as well. And we are an interactive podcast. So if you're in here right now, if you want to chat it up and you want to share your opinions and things like that, please put in the chat room. So I'm about to put in the string right here. So make sure you follow all that down there. And we're gonna get right into this with Alabama winning the national title again for the millionth time, I guess. Right? um,
Yeah, well, seventh time on the sleeve, and I know that. So
yeah, Saban got seven. He needs one more to is it pass or um, tie Bear?
I think he passes Bear Bryant if he wins another one.
Yeah, so he's tied with him right now. He'll pass on if he wins another one. So
Yep.
let's get right into the actual game. We're gonna get into some questions afterwards, or all about the tying of the championship. But Ray, first and foremost, I want to get your initial reactions of how the game was, what you feel about it. Was it a good game? Was it something that you expected? Let's get right into it.
Well, it was a good game for a quarter.
Yeah,
And then honestly, did I expect Alabama to pour it on in the second quarter the way they did? I can't say I expected that, but I wasn't surprised. I expected Alabama to win. I believe it or not, and I know Ohio State fans will probably think I'm lying, but I was actually rooting for Ohio State. I didn't think they would win, but I would rather they would have won than Alabama. So
yeah.
I mean,
For
honestly,
me, obviously, you guys know I'm a Michigan fan. I always hated the Alabama team as well. So I didn't have any ties to this game. If I was gonna lean to a team, obviously it's gonna be Alabama because I'm again Michigan fan, the rivalry. But yeah, I was expecting something good. It looked like it was gonna be a shootout in the beginning, and I even tweeted it out on our Inside the Hatches Twitter account, like this is gonna be a shootout. And I feel like as soon as I said that, it wasn't a shootout. It was
technically it was. You had 76 points scored, and the over under was 66. So it was a shootout, just a lot of more bullets on the one side than the other. That's all.
yeah, yeah. One team was a lot more loaded than the other team. And speaking of loaded,
Exactly.
Alabama looked incredibly unstoppable on offense, especially for a Heisman winner, Devonta Smith. The guy was literally catching and running for touchdown. It seemed like for every catch he had, he was wide open all the time. What do you think about his performance, Ray? And can he be stopped?
Well, it can't be stopped on the college level. We kind of saw evidence of that most of the year. I
Yeah,
mean, the kid's an incredible playmaker. It's not surprising him. There's a reason why he won the Heisman.
yeah,
I don't me wrong, and I don't want people to think that I'm saying that I don't think Ohio State was going to win this game on defense no matter what happened, because we know Alabama's loaded with playmakers on offense. But the 4-4-2 defense, or 4-4-3, I'm sorry, I didn't
yeah,
get that. That was like, let's
yeah,
stop the run. And they did a decent job playing the run. I mean, Najee Harris only had 79 yards, only averaged a little over 3 yards a carry,
yeah.
had two touchdowns, though, but he caught seven balls for 80 yards and a touchdown. And of course, Mac Jones looked like Peyton Manning out there. So, I mean,
He was slinging
what
it.
are you going to say? I just don't. I would have done it differently. I would have played more defensive backs. I would have played a little bit more zone, and I would have made them beat me with the running game.
I
If
agree.
nothing else, it slows them down a little bit, hopefully.
I agree, Ray, because Matt Jones only had 9 incompletions out of 45 passing attempts. It was way too easy for him. He was just picking and choosing what he wanted to do, and their offense was having a way with the Ohio State defense. One of the things I pointed out last week was I really thought that Alabama's offensive line was going to dominate, and they really did. Gave Matt Jones a lot of time back there in the pocket. Also, like you said, having that 4-4-3 was a mistake. I mean, why would you do that where Alabama, you already know Alabama have the Heisman winning trophy wide receiver, and then you got Waddle who
You had
came back,
Waddle
even though
playing.
yes, he was injured, but still he was in the game, he was still a threat. Why would
John Mechie had a great game.
you?
Slade
Yeah,
Bolden had a touchdown. Jaleel Billingsley, their tight end, had a nice little game. I
yeah,
mean, they were just picking wide open guys to throw the ball to. I mean, I know Mac Jones is probably going to be drafted a lot higher than he should be now,
yeah.
but I mean, that's what happens when you go out there and play like that in a championship game. I
Do
just
you do
got
you think that Ohio State's mindset was that they didn't think Najee Harris was gonna receive the ball that much out of the backfield? I mean, that's the only thing I can think of, because if you putting out more linebackers, that means you put in a linebacker at limbo for him to cover a running back.
well, that's what
And
they do.
good.
They literally had guys run like, especially Devontae Smith, in motion, running a little like in and then swing routes, and they were just wide open. I mean, like again, I'm not going to criticize Mac Jones. He could play great as
Yeah,
a first year starter, really. I mean, but they were wide open. I mean, I completely, I would have rather saw them play again 4 or 5 defensive backs and make them try to beat me with the running game.
exactly. Because you know they was gonna want to pass the ball. Like that was the one. Like they have more passers, a more passing threat than a running threat for that team. And I think that I don't know. I just feel like that philosophy wasn't good. I think they put too much trust in I'm blanking on the Ohio State Sean Wade. I think there was they put a lot of trust in him, thinking that he was able to at least keep up with Smith, but Smith was like making him look like he was a 7th round pick in the draft the whole game. Like he was making him silly.
Well, Sean Wade is a good football player, I think. He struggled most of the year playing on the outside.
Yeah,
So why would you even think that was a good game plan? Again,
yeah,
and once you showed them you were going to play 4 down linemen and 4 linebackers, they just spread you out and just picked you apart. I
yeah.
mean, it didn't help that Justin Fields had really struggled again,
He did.
and they didn't really do a whole lot on defense to do anything except for like hit him when they got when they got a chance to, and he was seeing ghosts, man. Let's face it. They were teeing off, and he saw ghosts, man. He
For
was
sure.
overthrowing guys. He was underthrowing guys, and he probably played his worst game in the last month, really.
He really have. He really have. And let's point out this factor that we're talking about this now. Um, Trey Sermons got injured in the beginning of the game, first play of the game. He
Yeah.
been the catalyst for the Ohio State offense the last couple of weeks with Fields kind of struggling. So like when he was running wild. Like he was having really great games while Justin Fields struggled, and it kind of masked some of the offensive struggles they had since he was on the field. And then once the defenses was like, all right, like, we got to stop this guy on the run. That's when they started passing more. Do you think that was the big deal? Because they still had Master Teague in the game. He had 15 for 65 yards, 2 touchdowns. He didn't have a bad game, but he wasn't Sermon.
Well, it definitely hurt them. I mean, it took away their big play threat of running back. I mean, I think if I was Ohio State, my game plan would have been to use both of them guys and try to grind out yardage and try to keep Alabama's offense off the field.
Yeah,
And then, honestly, I think when Sermon got hurt, they kind of panicked a little bit and thought they had to throw the ball in every play. And it really it did hurt them because Sermon had been their bell cow like the last, like especially the second half of the season. Kid had been playing really good football. And then him getting hurt the first play, I'm not going to say they panicked, but they were like, ooh, we didn't expect that. You know what I mean? And again, the way they played on defense didn't help them out either. But I think if I were, again, Ohio State, I would have went into the game thinking I'm going to use Sermon and I'm going to use Master Teague, I'm going to try to keep Alabama's offense on the sideline. And then the way the way their defense played, the formations they played in, they were doomed to fail. It was just, I mean, honestly, wasn't surprised that Alabama scored the way they did. I was very disappointed in the way Ohio State played. I was.
Yeah, like I said, I was not expecting Ohio State to play that way. I mean, they got shut out in the fourth quarter, no points. They only had 7 points in the second half altogether. And like I said, Alabama just rolled over them. I mean, I really don't get that defensive scheme. It was so odd to me to see that in this day and age where, I mean, I could see that from a team like Michigan that's, don't have that as much talent on their defense. So they try to switch up the scheme last minute to throw off a team to see if they can throw them off and try something different. For a team like Ohio State that usually stacked across the board, to change up their strategy like that and to leave the Alabama's strength, which is their passing game, in full display, I thought that was really weird, Ray. Really, really weird.
Yeah, I was really surprised. Like again, you basically created one-on-one mismatches with Alabama all over the board, and let's face it, man. Every time Mac Jones threw the ball, somebody was just wide open. If it wasn't Devontae Smith, it was again Meshie, it was Bolden, it was Billingsley, it was Najee Harris swinging out of the backfield. They were wide open. It was, again, I expected a better game than that. I didn't expect Ohio State to win, so I'm not surprised that they didn't win. But I expected a better game than that out of them.
Exactly. And Alabama's offensive line and defensive line was insanely good this game, flying across the board. I mean, I forget the kid's name on Alabama, but the guy's like 310 pounds, and he's looking like he runs a freaking 4.6 on the defensive line. Like, he was fast. Like, it was kind of scary looking at him, how fast and big that is,
man. I mean, honestly, I don't want to sound like a crybaby, but it's unfair almost, dude. It really is. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I feel kind of better now that Notre Dame only gave up 31 to them guys, to be honest with you.
Thank you. Silver lining, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, I don't want to go back to the Notre Dame game if Notre Dame's quarterback would have played a little bit better.
Yeah,
they would have been right in that game till at least the middle of the third quarter.
Yeah, I mean, you guys made it look a little bit better than they did. I just thought that was a high. I mean, I think honestly too. I think like Justin Field. I think he might be still injured too.
No, he definitely was favoring his ribs still a little bit. I think he was, and he just never looked comfortable. Part of that, I believe, he was hurt a little bit. Part of it was he was getting hit hard on just about every time he tried to throw the ball. So
yeah. So I think that threw off his rhythm as well. So so let's get into our next question. Ray, we kind of alluded to this in the beginning about the legacy of Nick Saban. Is he the best coach now that he got 7 rings, or do he need to get one more to pass Bear to be considered the best coach in college football?
Well, he's the best coach in college football. There's no one even really close. But he's never going to be better than Bear Bryant to me. So
that's why I asked, because I know you're a big Bear Bryant fan. So you don't think you can ever surpass Bear Bryant, in your opinion?
No, because Bear Bryant created what Alabama is now.
That's true.
You could argue the Saban is, and because let's face it, when Nick Saban got to Alabama, they weren't the team they are right now. And I'm not questioning that Nick Saban has elevated Alabama to where they are now, and I'm not saying in some ways he hasn't surpassed what Bear Bryant's done, but when Bear Bryant was coaching, Alabama was a great program that he created. Plus, there were other programs around him that were close to being as good as him. It's like the NFL. The talent level of the other teams are just not as good because, like, let's face it, man, everybody wants to play at Alabama. You heard it the other day. Alabama recruits from the Mid-South. They recruit from Florida. They recruit from Texas. They recruit from freaking Pennsylvania now. New Jersey. I mean, like, it's almost unfair, seemingly, how they just, like, players just want to flock there. But you can't blame the players, man. If you want to be drafted high, you want to win national titles, go to Alabama.
Yep, exactly what you do. So, with that being said, national championship is over. That means the college football is over for now. There's plenty for us to talk about. So we'll be talking about a lot of stuff on the RPO podcast still throughout the off season. We're going to be talking about the draft. We're going to be talking about the upcoming Senior Bowl, which we're going to dive into that a little bit now. But let's talk about a little bit of next season. Let's get an early look of next season, Ray. What is one or two teams you think is gonna be the best teams of next year? Obviously, there might be the Alabamas. They're gonna be losing a lot of guys too, so we don't know how that's gonna play out. They're gonna be losing both their receivers and their quarterback and their running back. So we're not certain they're gonna be the best team. You got Ohio State that's gonna be pretty much the same. They're losing both their running backs. They were missing their wide receiver and their quarterback. And there are a few guys on defense. So, Ray, let's hear it. Name a couple of teams that you think is going to be some of the best teams.
I'm never going to count out Alabama. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to count out Ohio State. I think they'll both be in that top 4 or 5. I'm looking at a team like maybe Texas A&M, who were good at the. I mean, we can get into how they jumped over Notre Dame as a number 4. Through the AP poll, which I disagree with, but that's fine. But you said Alabama's going to lose a lot of players. Ohio State's losing some really talented players. Clemson's going to lose their quarterback, and their running back. So they're another team. I think that you'll see the same 4, 5, 6 teams. I mean, until I see who they're recruiting and I see their roster, I don't really know that for sure. I don't see Alabama falling too far from where they're at now. I don't. I would say, if I had to rank them right now, I would say Alabama, Ohio State. I expect LSU to be better next year. I expect them to be in the mix.
Yeah.
I like Texas A&M. I think they're a good program. I would love to think that Michigan, if they have a nice recruiting class, that they could make some noise. I don't know if they will or not, but I think they always have a chance because they're Michigan. I think Notre Dame will be okay. I think probably coming into the season, you'll see Alabama will be ranked number 1 no matter what. So I'll say Alabama, Ohio State. I'm going to go Texas A&M because they're going to remain. I think they're going to keep most of their players, so they're going to be probably one of the teams that are going to vie for maybe that top 4 or 5 spot.
Yeah, I think Texas A&M is going to be a good one. Don't sleep on Clemson. Yes, they're losing Trevor Lawrence, but don't sleep on DJ. He looked very, very good this year. They're going to have some of their receivers got some experience this year with what's their top receiver name that declared? Oh man, I'm blanking on his name. I know one of them's Amari. Is it Amari Rogers? Or I'm mixing their names up. But
yeah, it's Rogers.
Rogers. But I do think they have some young receivers that look pretty good this year. I think they're gonna be a top team. LSU is another one. What's his name? Miles Brennan. He looked good at the end stretch of the season. Their defense is gonna be way better than they were this year. They were very disappointing. But you got Stingley that's coming back. That should be on par to be one of the best defensive players as well. So I think LSU is going to be another good team. USC, we'll see what Slovis does. I believe he might come back, or he has to come back. I forget what year he's in. He's going to be a junior, right? This is
Yeah,
junior.
he's not going to come out for next year.
Yeah. So if he improves on his game, I mean, USC was weird this year with their slow starts. I mean, if they can get that together and have another a good year, Penn State should be back on top. I think this year, where some of their young running backs are coming back. That got injured this year as well. Michigan, you mentioned Michigan. Let's talk about that because we haven't had a chance to talk about the whole Michigan thing. So let's talk about that real quick. Jim Harbaugh gets signed 5-year deal after this really 2-win season. I know it's the pandemic year, it's a weird season. Ray, how you feel about that before I go into my thing about it?
Well, I already know how you feel about it. I honestly, I respect Jim Harbaugh more than most people. I think a little bit more than you do. I wouldn't have extended him for 5 years. I would have. Now, did he have a contract for next year or no?
I
He
believe
did,
so.
right?
Yeah, I
Well,
believe
I
so.
would have let him come next year. Then if he'd had a better year next year, then I would have renegotiated with him. I wouldn't have extended him for 5 years. There's no way. I just
That's
would not. I wouldn't even thought about it. To be honest with you.
I don't understand how you only get 2 wins in the whole season and get granted to get a new contract. It's like me being bad at my job, coming to work every day, not doing nothing, and my boss like, "Oh, you deserve a raise." Like, what? What?
Yeah.
What have you shown lately that grants you this contract? I was very very surprised about it. I was hearing the rumors and I was like, I don't think it's gonna happen. Then the more I thought about it, I was like, you know what? This would be a Michigan thing they do, and that's exactly what they did. They signed him to a 5-year contract. The only bright side to this, and just me being this optimistic Michigan fan, but they got JJ McCaffrey coming in to the draft. I mean, to Michigan this season. He's a young, promising quarterback. I believe he's the #1 quarterback out there, coming from ING Academy.
Mm-hmm.
Look very, very good at ING Academy. He might be the future of Michigan. I don't think he's going to come in one year and just blow everything out the waters. But give him 2022, I think he will be better, and that might be the only saving grace for Jim Harbaugh, because he has an upcoming young, really good quarterback coming into the ranks. That's the only thing
I
I can
think
think.
I agree with that. I think also it helps from recruiting. Anytime your coach is going to be there for at least 3, 4, 5 years, it helps you with recruiting. That's the only reason I can see why they would do that. Because if you wouldn't have re-signed him for at all, and say next year or the year after would have been his last 2 years with Michigan, you may have heard some people be like, "Ooh, do I really want to go to Michigan?" They may fire their coach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the one team I was just thinking about it, Oklahoma. I expect Oklahoma to be really good next year.
Oh yeah, I forgot about them. Yeah, because it got Rattler. Rattler played a lot better at the end of the year.
He
I
did.
get a lot of slack in the beginning of the year because he was this highly regarded quarterback. He had the quarterback coach, the quarterback whisperer, and Lincoln Riley, and he started off really, really slow. Even got benched at one point. Came back, and honestly, after his benching, he didn't come out firing like heavy, but gradually, right after his benching, he got better and better and better. And that's actually a really good pick.
Also, if you look, he's actually right now the front runner to win the Heisman next year.
He got the top odds right now.
They do already. He's actually the front runner to win the Heisman next year.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I didn't even get to see the odds, so
I only know that because I was looking at something, and then I saw a little thing saying favorites to win the Heisman, and he was the first name to come up. So
interesting. We'll see though. Next year definitely gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I think, like I said though, the one reason why you extend Jim Harbaugh, to go back to the Michigan and Jim Harbaugh thing, is that again it shows that there's still stability there. and you don't have to worry about the coach not being there long term. So
Yeah. And we'll see how he does because now Don Brown's not there no more. They're gonna have to get a new defensive coordinator. I don't know if they signed one yet. I don't remember seeing it, but now again with them firing Don Brown, I would have probably waited to see how Jim Harbaugh does after this year. Just be like, all right, you got a new defensive coordinator. Let's see what you do now. You can't blame. It's no finger pointing now. You're the guy. You go get your guy. See how this goes, and we move on from here. Or we'll resign you. But I just think that after only a 2-win season, it bothers me that signing. That was really weird. But let's get into our last thing that we're going to talk about today is the Senior Bowl. So if you guys don't already know, Inside the Hatches will be at the Senior Bowl again this year. So we got one more week to have a podcast, and the podcast after that we will not have a podcast because we'll be at the Senior Bowl, and we will be having some live content on there as well. So don't worry, we'll still have some kind of podcast, but it won't be the RPO podcast. It'll be a Senior Bowl special podcast. But with that being said, Ray, we are going down there, and I just want to hear some players that intrigue you down there and things like that. But before we get to that, we got the big announcement that the Senior Bowl will be hosted by two teams. One of which is your team, the Miami Dolphins coaching staff will be down there, and what was the other team? And the Panthers. And the Panthers.
Carolina, right?
Yeah. Carolina, yes. Both their coaching staff will be down there this year. So, Ray, I want to know how you feel about your Miami Dolphins being at the Senior Bowl this year. Is there any advantage for them to be down there as well?
Well, I think it's always an advantage to go down there and be able to talk to these kids. I mean, of course, and I think Miami has 4 of the top 50 picks, so it's not going to hurt them, of course. And I think Brian Flores is a player's coach. I think guys like playing for him, and I think it's absolutely advantage. I mean, it is. So I'm glad. I'm happy about it. I mean, we'll see how everything shakes out, but I like it. You know, I mean, of course, I like Carolina's coaching staff. I think they do a good job. They don't have a great roster, but they play tough every week. So,
definitely. I'm be excited to go down there, get to talk to Matt Rule. Obviously, we're in the Jersey area, so he went to Temple. So that's one guy that we know from this area. And I want to really be able to talk to Brian Flores from Miami. I think that he's one of those hard-nosed, gritty coaches. I would love to see how he, coaches those players down there as well. So I think that's going to be great. What I'm upset about is there was rumors that the Philadelphia Eagles was actually supposed to be in that spot. Obviously, we fired our head coach, so that's something we can talk about later. That's in another podcast, talking about the Eagles firing their head coach. But I would have loved this because honestly, I feel like, especially this year, there's a huge advantage going to the Senior Bowl. With the combine being in limbo, we don't know if there are going to be any pro days right now. Everything's all in the air still. The Senior Bowl is the only constant thing that we know is going to happen right now, and even without the pandemic, it's such an advantage to go down to get that head start, to interview some of these kids already, to talk to them, to get a close look of how they interact, how they play within your system. Early advantage, and then you can assess where you're going to put them in a draft earlier than most people. So I do think it's always an advantage to be a coaching staff down there, but this year in particular, it's going to be even more important.
I agree with you. We're not going to get into the NFL or why the Eagles fired Doug Peterson or any of that, but it's hard it was hard. I'm sure it took them completely out of the equation once they fired their head coach. So
it definitely did. You have another requirement is you have to be, so you're supposed to be a top 5 team. Miami and Carolina's not top 5 team, But with the Eagles being out, and then teams can opt out of doing it also, and I believe you can't go twice in like 5 years or something like that. I think that's another requirement to have
Yeah.
something weird like that. So a lot of teams wasn't able to go. You had to have a coaches in place. So obviously the Jets couldn't go. The Cincinnati had not Press Teller, Zach Teller last year, and then who else got eliminated? The Jags just the Jags don't have a coach, so they
Right.
couldn't go. And then so that's why the one thing about the Eagles, but then we fired our coach late. So I believe that's how the requirements are for that. But so yeah, so that's how Carolina and Miami got the picks. Miami got the third.
The crazy thing for Miami is if you look at Miami, they really were like the 18th team. But
Yeah,
because they got Houston's pick at number 3, they got
exactly.
back in the equation. To me, that is really it's surprising that they let Miami do it. And to me, it is a big advantage for them because Miami's not a good team, but
Yeah,
they're really close to being a good team.
yeah, yeah. And the Tex, I mean, you couldn't really give. I can't see you giving them the Texans either. Plus, the Texans don't have a quarterback. I mean, a coach. So that's
They don't
another
have a
fact.
good team. Exactly. So
But
that takes them out
also,
of the equation. So.
they took yep, that takes them out the equation. Also, they don't have a first or second round pick, so kind of
Right.
hard to justify a coaching staff in the Senior Bowl for fans to be like, oh yeah, we're on board for this team being the coaches when they don't have a pick in the first 2 rounds. So
Who does have their
I think
first and second round picks?
yeah, we're not gonna talk about that guy. So but yeah, so that's that. So super excited about the coaching staff right now. But Ray, let's get into some players because we got some players that got invites that accepted invites already. The official roster has not been put out yet. It should be out very, very soon. I'm confident in that. But there's names that have just been out there. I want me and you to kind of go back and forth on some names that intrigues us about that's going down to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
You want to start it off?
Yeah, well, my first one is Jamie Newman, quarterback who was supposed to play at Georgia this year.
Yeah.
I really think we needed a year of development to be a guy who maybe is I know he's not a first day draft pick. Maybe if he had a good year at Georgia, maybe he could have elevated himself into being a second day. And he may still get taken there. I just want to see how he tests because he's definitely has the athletic ability. He has good size, 6'4", 230. I just worry about his arm. I don't think his arm is elite. I don't think his arm strength or his arm talent are elite. I think they're both solid, and he's a good athlete. I can't wait to see how he tests down there and how he looks down there throwing the ball and stuff. That's my first guy. I wanted to see him at Georgia this year because I thought that it would have made Georgia a better team. But the fact that he opted out and didn't play, I was a little surprised because I think he needed a year of game film to elevate himself into, maybe being a fairly high pick. So
Yeah. Right. You hit it right out of the park on your first pick because I think he's might be the most intriguing player down there because this year for Wake Forest is supposed to be the year that he all showcased everything. His first year at Wake Forest, he never even got to touch the field at Wake Forest. And he was really supposed to be, this was supposed to be the year that he showed like scouts what he can do. Thank goodness he was able to get into the Senior Bowl this year because this is really his last chance to show, hey, I can play in this league because I don't think if without any kind of film or without anything, he's gonna get. I think he would have been pushed down even more. I think there's gonna be teams that take the COVID thing into consideration also, but it's really hard when you don't have that much good film to really judge him. It's just really hard. So the Senior Bowl is going to be very, very, very big for him. Um, I can't honestly. I don't see him being in the second round, right? For those reasons because he don't have a lot of film on him. And like you said, don't have the strongest arm. Also, it's going to be very hard for a team to justify that.
I think that people will see his athleticism and say, you know what, I'll take a flyer on him because he
Yeah,
does have some good traits. I just don't think there's enough consistent game film to elevate him anything
exactly.
more than a third day pick right now, to be honest with you.
That's I agree with that. I agree with that. I'm gonna go with my guy, Ray. You should have known my first pick is gonna be a Michigan guy, and I'm gonna go with Avery Thompson. This guy was supposed to be one of the top, I think, five corners coming out this year, coming into the season. He opted out for the Michigan. I'm really intrigued to see how he does, because I want to know, like, I want to see like if he can elevate his game and get to that like level where people are talking about him a little bit more as a top corner, because coming into the season he was considered a top corner. Opted out. I want to see how he does, right?
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, you know how I feel about corners, man. I love them. So we'll see how he does.
Shake him off the tree, right, Ray?
And you said it, man, not me.
Hey, oh, you said it first. I'm just quoting what you said before. All right, you got
Well,
another?
hey, man, Miami had two of the best corners in football this year. I
Yeah.
forgot their playoff run, didn't I?
Ooh, wow,
If
Ray.
you don't put pressure on the quarterback, I don't care who your corners are, dude. And that's all there is to it.
That's true. That is true. Yeah, you cut deep with that one, Ray. All right, Ray, you got another guy?
Yeah, I got your guy, Nico Collins from Michigan. Again, I think that he has some traits. I think he has some size. I think he has decent hands. I'm encouraged to see how well he runs and how well he tests down there. His vert's going to be big for him because he is a tall, lanky guy. I think he's could be a point of attack. I think he could be a sleeper as maybe a third or a fourth round pick. Maybe somebody gets a guy who's probably a little better than maybe people think because again, Michigan didn't get consistent college quarterback play again last year, and I think it kind of hurt him a little bit.
Ray, I think he's gonna have the same syndrome as Donovan Peoples Jones. I mean, Donovan Peoples Jones looking real good for the Browns right now as like
Yep.
their third receiver. Right, I think he jumped what's his name, Higgins. He's looking really good over there, and you didn't see much of that in Michigan. And again, it was a lot of the scheme, a lot of the quarterback play, all of that. Nico Collins was another one that I had very high hopes for this year. He opted out. He didn't really opt. I don't know what he did. It wasn't really an opt out, but it wasn't really. I don't know. He wasn't on the team, but yeah. So he didn't play this year. A guy that I was looking forward to seeing. I am very curious on how his 40 time is going to be. He's not obviously he's not a burner. He's not going to be a strong guy, fast guy. But if he can get in the low 4.5s, I think he'll look really really good to some teams with his body, his catch radius, all that. Physical play, wide receiver. I think he's gonna be great.
I agree with you. I think that he's an intriguing guy because of his size and his length, and the guy who attacks the ball at high points to ball. I think Nico Collins could be a steal for somebody in day three, probably.
For sure, for sure. All right, I'm gonna give you another guy. This guy is just one of my personal favorite guys. He's in our division. Obviously, I'm a Big Ten guy. I see Big Ten almost all the time because I watch Big Ten all the time with Michigan. But my guy, Patty Fisher, linebacker, he is my Logan Wilson of this year. He's that linebacker that I just want to see. I want to see how good he is. I think he's gonna be better than Logan Wilson. Me and Ray was having this Logan Wilson debate all last year. He had a decent rookie year this year. You gotta admit that, Ray. Um, Patty Fisher from
Still shouldn't
North.
have been a third round pick, but yeah, he was fine.
What'd you say?
Still shouldn't have been a third round pick, but yeah, he was fine.
Whatever, Ray. But yeah, he had a decent game. He had a decent year for a rookie year. I'm definitely looking forward to him. Patty Fisher is in that same line for me. He's one of those. I think he's a lot more athletic than Logan Wilson. He's gonna be up there, and I really want to see how athletic he can be. I want to see him a little bit more in the passing game, a little bit in here, and I'm very intrigued by him. What do you think, Ray?
I like him a little bit. I like him better than Logan, to be honest with you. I think he has some upside. I think he has some nice traits athletically. I think he'd be a nice player. I like him.
Definitely. All right, give me one more guy, Ray.
You want offense or defense? You tell me.
It's up to you. It's up to you. Who you want?
I'll leave you Spencer Brown, offensive tackle from Northern Iowa, getting a lot of hype right now. I think that I can't wait to see how he does on his cone and his feet rolls. I mean, I think he's a guy who obviously has the size and the length to play. I'm excited to see. I see some teams taking him in the first round. I would take him at the end of the first round. I wouldn't take him before that right now, to be honest with you. But I like him. I think he has big upside. So we'll see.
Definitely. All right, and I'm gonna end off with a obvious guy, Kyle Trask. I mean, he's gonna be the attraction down there. Everybody's gonna be wanting to see how he does down there. Coming off a bad game, his last game, I feel like he's gonna be motivated. He's gonna want to really play, and I want to see him play without some of his normal targets. I mean, I know Tony's gonna be down there, so he will have him. Excuse me, Tony. I say Tony. Tony. He's gonna be down there. He's gonna have one of his weapons, but I want to see him with some new guys, some fresh new guys that that he haven't thrown to. I want to see how efficient he will be with that. I want to see him fired up and ready to showcase his skills after having what was a 3 interception game in the bowl game that he had. So I want to see him bounce back. I want to see how he does.
I think Kyle Trask is definitely a draftable player. Mm-hmm. I've seen some teams love him in the first round. I've seen some teams think he's more like a day two guy. Mm-hmm. I think that Kyle Trask will play in the NFL for sure. He has the size. He has solid arm talent. I worry about his arm strength. I worry about throwing the ball to the long side of the field. I do. I don't see the ball jump out of his hand. I think he's a pro prospect because he plays the right way. Yeah. He knows how to play the position. I just worry about his arm strength as far as pushing the ball downfield and throwing to the long side of the field. We'll see how he does, though.
Yeah, I think he got really good anticipation on the ball too. Like he throws like out of the routes really well. He, he's a smart kid. I mean, obviously in that bowl game, you would say different, but that's one game, man. That happens sometimes. So
I think he is what you see. I think he's a big kid with nice anticipation on his throws. Again, I worry about tight window throws, throwing the ball to the long side of the field. I think as long as he stays on rhythm, he's a good quarterback, and he'll play in the NFL. He will. I just don't know if he's ever going to be an elite quarterback at the NFL. That's all.
I agree. There's one extra guy I do want to just point out because he might not be able to play now that he's injured, which is Trey Sermon. He was eligible to go to the Senior Bowl. He went to the hospital 2 nights ago during the championship game. So we'll see. I highly doubt that he's going to play. Which stinks because I really wanted to see how he does. That was one of the guys that I probably would have said that would have loved to see him go down there, but he got injured. I believe there was another player that went down there injured. The lineman for Ohio State. Forgot his name. It'll come back to me later. But there was another guy that might not be able to play. Man, I don't know why I can't remember his name. But anyway, so that's gonna do it for us today, guys. Thank you all for checking us out. We do appreciate each and every one of you guys. Please make sure you check us out again next week at 7:00. We'll be back on. Also, make sure you check us out on all our websites at InsideTheHashes.com. where you can find all our content. Also follow us on Spotify. We got all our player interviews. We interview a lot of these players that are going to the Senior Bowl already. A lot of players that you've seen in a championship. We got a couple of guys in the championship game that was in there. We interviewed some of those guys. So make sure you check us out. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. We find all our player interviews. Also check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, Inside the Hashes. And make sure you check us out on our YouTube channel, which some of you guys are watching live right now. So if you're on there, please make sure you like and subscribe, and also suggest and share this video to your friends, families, to help us grow, man. You just support us and help us grow by getting us some subscription and help get the algorithm up by liking the video if you do like it, and also make sure you check out all our other podcasts that are on the YouTube. Also, a lot of player interviews, and we got the new draft videos out right now on YouTube. So make sure you go check that out as well. So do that. It'll make us very, very happy people, and we will love to see you do that. So once again, thank you guys. This is Jerome Jones. We got Ray Roberts. We'll see you next week. You have a good day, and we're going to talk a lot more Senior Bowl next week. Have a good one. Bye.